Well, good evening, fellow people, and welcome to Unfiltered. Two issues, man. Issue one, the very, very, very well anticipated heavy elections at Akwatia is on tomorrow. My question is this: is it going to be a Yezu-fied? When the NDC wins, it means Akwatia has been a Yezu-fied, or is it going to be Osunu-fied? If the NPP should get their seat back, it's Osunu-fied. And this is the question among many others that I'll be asking my guests. I have the great Ivan in the house. Ivan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
The question straight to you: is it going to be a Yezu fight or Osun fight? On your own analysis.
Yes, in between, I think there are a lot of factors to consider. Yes, but it's going to be an interesting elections.
That I know. I want you to make a prediction, or you want to stay away from that?
Oh, yeah, I think I will bet on the NDC to win because of incumbency advantage. Yes, I will bet on the NDC to win.
So you think it will be a Yezu fight?
Very likely because of incumbency. Yes, because everybody might want to associate with the winning team because President NDC controls the executive and development and other related activities. Everybody might want to present a candidate who can easily go to the presidency and ask for development, and I think that is going to be a
speaking
great
about
factor.
Development, and I'll let you continue. Speaking about development, the NPP had 8 years. Assuming that the 8 years that they had been some massive, impressive, remarkable developments, which they could cite. In our last 8 years, we did this, we did that, we did this. You know. Will still an incumbency be an issue if some very impressive developments are taking place, or incumbency is an issue now just because development massa? What's your take?
Yes, I think getting to the tail end of the NPP's administration, the signs were quite obvious that this is a government that has failed in all aspects. It was quite obvious. And to give a picture-skewed description to this assertion, you look at the electoral outcome. That paints a picture how people felt about the NPP in terms of development in all aspects, and that culminated into the kind of electoral outcome that you saw. So when it comes to development, I am not sure there is anything the NPP can go back
there.
The
question is, originally the NPP carried the seat.
Yes.
Regardless of developer or non-development, NPP carried the seat.
Yes.
So my question is, does development really pay? Or do people really penalize you for lack of development? So we can look at what you're talking about properly.
Yes, because if you look at Akwatia in recent times, it has been an alternating seat. It's not a particular, it's not a seat that the NDC can say, hey, this is my comfortable
like
seat, or the NPP. Yes. And it has been alternating within a period of 4 years. It was NDC, Baba Jama, he lost it to Amase lost it to NDC, then NDC lost it to NPP. You see, so it has been alternating.
So it's go back and forth.
Yes.
So
I get it.
Yeah.
In recent time, it has been a swing seat. So development will play quite a crucial role. But I'm saying that the people have had opportunity of witnessing or seeing what the NPP did at the time. And now John Mahama is the president. He's now starting his administration. So the natural feeling is that everybody might want to present a candidate who can easily walk to the Jubilee House and say, hey, I want development for my people. And if you look at the nature of the politics that we do here in our part of the world, just like President Akufo-Addo rightly put it, when the chiefs of Akumfi went to him and said, hey, Nana, over the years we've been denied development, the president was bold enough to tell them in the face, say, hey, you did not vote for my candidate, and it's the reason why I decided not to also give you development.
Atukujo. No, yeah, MP war. The man be a minister, or a deputy minister. They need to teach you. So when you say and Namson, so no, so be say BB. Amamo, a kufi. Na, actually, election for by a year no free hall. Then you know, can't be the Kakramiti Academy, Miss Me, Manika Crass of free hall. Then you know, can't be the Kakramiti Academy, Miss Me, Manika Crass of free. Man can't cry.
So if that principle is anything to go by, then everybody might want to associate with.
Let's stick with that principle for a while, for a minute. Should that be the principle, though? I know politics is very competitive.
Yes.
But should the principle be what You said another.
No, not at all. You see, you cannot have a president who will be voted for by everybody in the country or by every constituency. But when it comes to development, you are using national resources. That is not a private asset or a private money. You understand? It is the taxes of the aggregation of individual taxes, citizens. So it doesn't matter who voted for you or who didn't. You have a responsibility to ensure that you spread development evenly across board. So every citizen living in the country at any point in time will become a beneficiary of the resources of the country, because the mere fact that the NDC is in power doesn't mean that the resources belong to NDC. The mere that Akufo-Addo was in power didn't mean that the resources belong to Akufo-Addo. You have been given the privilege of playing president at a time. Your job is to ensure that you give even development across the country. So I think it was quite unfortunate that he made that particular statement, and you saw the bastardization that came with it when he made those unpopular comments. So I don't believe in that principle that you need to have a representation from a particular constituency before you turn an eye to go and develop. You understand? But in recent times, our politics has
been dependent on that.
Has gotten dirty. Everybody want to cash. So it has always been about cashing the short-term partisan dividend out of whatever initiative. So I am looking at the constituency, and I'm also looking at the party dividend that I can cash in terms of numerical vote that I can get from a particular place. You understand? So I think that has been one of the major reasons we are stuck.
Tell us about JDM, because I know that Ashanti region is definitely not an NDC stronghold.
Yes.
But lots of developments went there, the markets and everything.
Yes.
And even people, in terms of what you are saying, have criticized him on that account. Say, all these markets you put in Kumasi, blah, blah, blah. You could have done something like that in the Volta region. You forgot them, and they're your stronghold.
Yes.
Comment on that. Did he do the right thing?
I think John Mahama can be given credit in this regard, because look at Ashanti region. Over the years, we all know it's a NPP's Florida. It's a no-go area for the NDC. But if you go to Ashanti region today and you look at the massive developmental projects in the region, all of it were brought forth by the NDC. One has to do with this KJTR market, the phase 1 phase. The NPP has been well in power for 8 good years. The phase 2, I don't know what has become of that particular phase 2. One of the largest hospital was sent to, how do you call it, this military hospital, Afari. John Mahama started that particular project, multi-million-dollar project. He couldn't finish. The Akufo-Addo government was in power for 8 good years. That particular infrastructure was left to rot. You understand? So Mahama can be given credit when it comes to some of these, because if you go to Ashanti region, there are a number of projects, market, hospitals that he did, without taking into account that, hey, these people don't vote for me. But yet he believed that development is for the people of this country, and you cannot just exclude people out of the developmental plan because they didn't vote for you. I think that is some kind of an infantile political understanding for anybody to be doing that. Very archaic. Such minds, and I don't know where they belong to, maybe in the 12th century, because in recent times that shouldn't be the case. So John Mahama can be given credit, and as soon as he took over, he has gone back to Ashanti region to continue some of the project which were abandoned. For me, I think that is a plus, and for him, we can excuse him in this particular regard, because there are several places you can say, even in the Volta region, if you look at the development in the Volta region as compared to what he did in the Ashanti region. Obviously,
could that be, fortunately or unfortunately, the NPP card say don't count on Incumbency as the party that will develop the place, because everybody is entitled to development, so you can continue voting for the NPP and our candidate, because
ideally when you're doing politics, when you're president, you have this free mindset of bringing development to the people. That is your innate, that is your responsibility. But don't forget that in rendering that responsibility, you also have this advantage of cashing out the partisan capital or the political capital out of it. You understand? So the very moment, yes, it's my responsibility to provide for my children, but the ones I am providing for them, I might earn respect from them, because when they look around, they look at other parents are not doing what you're doing. So that alone will draw kind of respect for my children, and that is a plus. So the mere fact that John Mahama will be spreading development across, some people had similar opportunity, but they didn't do it. So why is he doing it? It means that he cares about us. So we need to also pay him back in that particular regard. So I think that has always been some of the undertone motivation which eventually come into this incumbency advantage that I mentioned, and it's everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
As it is now, in terms of numerical strength, this election doesn't really do anything to add value to the NDC strength in Parliament.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't do anything. What does it do if the NDC should win? What does it do for them anyway? And if the NPP should win, what does it do for the NPP?
Okay. I think that yesterday I had a conversation with a friend and I told him that the most consequential outcome of this Akwatia by-election isn't who wins, but how the victory is won.
Because it isn't who wins.
Yes, but
how the victory. Explain that.
How, because whoever wins that particular seat is not going to tilt the balance in Parliament. Just like you rightly mentioned, the NDC has this astronomical number. The NPP getting it will not change anything. So it's not about tilting the balance in Parliament. So it is about how this whole election is going to be won. Because in recent times, we can catalog a number of instances where violence has marred many by-elections that we've had in this country. Recent example has to do with what happened in, Ablekuma, the violence that ensued. So that has become the common characterization. So the thing is, the how means that how are we going to ensure that the people of Akwatia are given the opportunity to select whoever they want to lead them without any act of violence, without any incident. I mean, the how is what is going to be a victory for us because of recent past. Because quickly we can have Ayawaso West Wagon.
Yeah,
we saw the bloody clashes of what happened. At the end of the day, nothing happened. Yesterday, I saw that some of the guys who were involved in Ablekuma have been sentenced, has been given some fine. When I saw it, I was very angry because I felt that the amount of money placed on them were meager. But on the second thought, I felt yes, it's a good move because we've had instances in the past like that Ablekuma, like Ayawaso West Wagon and several other places, Techiman, where individuals were killed. The state could not lift a finger to do a thing. Nobody was even prosecuted. So if under this current dispensation we have people being sent to court and have been convicted, even though the amount placed on them is meager, I think that is some sort of a consolation for us. And going into this particular election, I am looking forward to the IGP and his team. They must ensure that this act of violence that has been characterizing our election in recent times will be curtailed. The police should be on duty and provide active policing duty. And these young men who very often besiege these places, I'm referring to these party vigilantes in the form of metro man who very often transform this place into a boxing arena, do their stuff. We need to send a message to people out there that we've come of age. We've been over 60 years and counting after our independence. We cannot be engaging in this kind of backward antediluvian politics. We need to make sure that our elections become very credible, very reliable, and whoever wins will be a true representation of what the people desire to win. For the NPP, I think winning, the only political advantage that will get into the NPP in terms of victory will be that, the gentleman was our candidate, he died. We want to honor his memory, preserve his memory. So let us win the election to preserve that particular memory. And that is how they started this whole thing. So initially when they issued a statement that they were not going to contest the Tamale Central election, I felt the mischief beneath it, because the whole attempt was some sort of emotional blackmail, because they knew they were not going to win. So they said, we are not going to win because we are not going to contest because the circumstances which led to their death, it will be inhuman on our part. Democracy has no room for such things. There's those emotional cards. You don't play it in politics, but those were the game that they were playing. The following day, some of their big guys came out admonishing the NBC to also withdraw from Akwatia so that we also honor and preserve the memory. This kind of politics is never done anywhere.
I was reading the papers and people were even presenting that as a checkmate. They said NPP has been a move,
exactly,
and it's going to check the NDC.
Exactly, and some guys in the media were rooting for some of these. And I said, democracy has no room for such unwitty compromises. It is about a contest
So
of ideas.
you just saw it as an emotional thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was a checkmate move.
Exactly. Yes, a political party has the right to withdraw from whichever contest, because in the past the NDC has done it before, and the NDC's own was very strategic when they withdraw from some of the by-elections. For instance, at where John Kuma's place, the NDC said the period was close to the national election, so the resources that we're going to use for that particular election will be preserved for the main election, so that they could win more seats. And at the end of the day, it paid out. They won more seats, so strategically it made sense. You understand? But in this instance, the NPP is boycotting the whole election in Tamale Central. You see, you don't go to election only to win. Sometimes you go there to test your popularity, your pulse, because this is a party that suffered the most humiliating defeat in our political history. You need to go there and test the pulse and see whether you've been able to build the bridges, whether people are actually, the hope is returned or some sort of. But
so at the end of the day, let's say MPP wins.
Okay.
What is there to celebrate? Is it just we tested it, but or the bigger picture is that you can't count us out? Because in my thinking, if the NDC should win, they can stand on a platform and say, Charlie, we are now here and we are taking over every seat. We can actually go into MPP strongholds.
yes.
Or seats that were previously occupied by MPP and take them.
Yes.
I think that I'm thinking that would be the NDC message. Say, Charlie, we are back strong.
Yes.
What is the MPP message? If they win?
Yeah, the MPP winning, it will come with several advantages. One, this is a political party that just suffered a humiliating defeat, and if you look at how the party has been in opposition recent time, it's not something that anybody will be proud of. So winning this particular seat will give them some sort of a psychological boost. And again, it will also help them to preserve the memory of this gentleman. He was our guy. He's dead. We have replaced him. That will give you, and also give you a sense of renewal. That we are not done as people think we are. You understand? So they can also premise this whole thing on it and begin to build up. You understand? But the very moment they lose it, it turns the whole stakes. Because I've told you, this is a party that has been on a sinking trend, even in opposition. If you look at the rhetorics, the way and manner they are doing their own thing with this Flagbearer elections, coming, be the first option before they go to the ground to do this whole thing. There has been a lot of talk in town. So if you lose it, people point to the fact that, yes, you failed to build a party. You failed to do reorganization. You lose power, you lose connection, just like I've always been saying. So you need to reconnect, build bridges, and make sure that internal re-engineering, restructuring is done to ensure the vehicle that suffered that humiliating defeat is put in the proper shape. Because what I know is, if a car slips into a gutter, the first thing you do is to take it to the mechanic. You don't take it to the station to go and carry passengers. Nobody seeing the state of that particular vehicle. Nobody. But that is exactly what the MPP has decided to do. They just remove the vehicle from the gutters straight away to the station, and they're asking people to come on board. Nobody. You will be wasting your time at the station. You understand? So if they are unable to win, all these conversations will be activated. You understand? You don't have numbers. The numbers in Parliament is quite abysmal, and it has been a humiliating figure that has been in the discussion for quite a long time. If you lose it, it will send you back. You understand? So I think the MPP has a lot to fight for. But the question is that, have they really worked for it? That is another thing, because this is not a comfortable seat. It's a seat that has been alternating. And even with this last election, there was a contest between the NDC and the MPP. The NDC said the MPP didn't win. Then the whole issue was in court. You understand? They didn't even finish the court this thing. So it's a whole lot of where that the MPP might want to prove a point. But for me, if you look at the way and manner they've been conducting themselves, the way and manner the party is behaving, it will be very difficult. And then on the other side of the NDC, I mentioned incumbency, because this seat doesn't advantage any of the political parties. It's a seat for a take by anybody who works their things out. But the incumbency advantage play in the NDC's favor, in the sense that, like I mentioned, John Mahama is the current president. In the next 4 years, whether you like it or not, the guy is the president. And people naturally might want to elect somebody who can easily go there and bring development. And he can be appointed to become a minister or any other position. So the privileges and the advantages that will come with an NDC representation will be very rewarding as compared to somebody who will be coming from the opposition. You understand? So I think that these are the stakes. So the incumbency will definitely favor the NDC, but it doesn't conclude that the NPP cannot win. The NPP, if they do their things where they can. So it's a kind of a dicey situation. But for me, like I mentioned, the ultimate outcome, the consequential outcome, isn't the victory. For me, because it's not going to change anything. It will not change the stakes in parliament. It's not going to add any value to the whatever going on in parliament. Yeah. But the how is very, very important because very often Techimano springs to mind.
Yes.
When helpless bystanders were shot in close range by men in uniform. Till date, nothing has been done about it. The main election, people were shot dead. Nothing was done about it. Abelikuma, when we had this by-election, I was in West Oregon. The whole commission was set up and the president was admonished to penalize certain individuals. The white paper was trashed, was consigned to a political dustbin somewhere in the Jubilee House. Nobody did that then. And that motivated people to go into the main election with this act of farcical bravado and the excesses that we saw. You understand? So I think it's something that we should be looking out for.
If there's a peaceful election, whichever way it goes, whoever wins, so long as it's a peaceful election, the credit goes to the IGP.
It will even go to it will even credit John Mahama himself as president. Because in the previous administration, the bastardization and everything that happened, Akufo-Addo was at the center because he was the president and was supposed to ensure that the state provided a peaceful election. That was never done. In an event things got into the excesses, the state was supposed to move in and penalize people to serve as deterrent, to deter further engagement. But he didn't do any of these things. So I mentioned under this present administration, yes, the amount of money placed on these guys are bigger. They are not
but something has been enough, done.
But something has been done that sent a certain message that the state is not going to compromise on some of these things. You understand? So for me, I think if we are able to secure a peaceful election, it will go to the president credit, then to the IGP and his team, because I don't remember the last time we had a peaceful by-election in this country. I don't remember.
I don't either.
It has always been violence, bloody, showmanship, that kind of stuff by Metro Man and stuff. So this is a perfect opportunity, especially when the stakes are not high, because the stakes in this election are not high. It's just for the optics and the politics of it, or maybe for the bragging right. NDC might want to prove a point that yes, we are developing. The city has appreciated. The economy is on good footing, and this is a vindication that indeed we are doing something. The reason why the people voted for us. The MPP on the other side might want to flip the narrative and say, hey, NDC lost it because they are not performing. You understand? So it's a whole lot. So I am looking at the peaceful election as victory. And then the other side will be the optics that these two political parties might want to play. NDC might want to vindicate itself that indeed, for the past 7 months, the economy, Ghanaians will feel that there is change. You understand? So that will be the message of hope that the NDC might want to send.
So at the end of the day, for them, it's the value, bragging rights. Escalated.
Exactly. Because this is a government that comes to power. The city is 15 cities. All of a sudden, 10 now is 11. That's
they actually go to 17 at one point. Anyway,
then all the credible rating agencies around the world rated junk. All of a sudden, they are rewriting, because I know Moody's has. They've reviewed Ghana's credit rating, and some other. If you look at the CD, inflation is coming down. These are signs that point to the fact that indeed John Mahama went out there to woo investors, and now he's coming in with a lot of investment, which means that hope once again is returning. Our debt to GDP has declined considerably. These are positive indicators that indeed something is being done. So people rewarding the government on that particular line will mean that will be a vindication of all these things. So it's more of optics, it is more of politics, but the value isn't the victory, but the peaceful election that we can secure. And I'm urging the IGP, the state, to ensure that for the first time in so many years, they give us a peaceful election, because anything other than that will just color the victory.
So says Ivan. He says the value is not in the victory of whoever wins, but the process, the procedure, and how peaceful it is. Yeah. That is where the value will make the difference.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's move on.
Okay.
NPP has a hot race coming up for the presidential flag bearership. What's your take on this? Who's your pick? Not pick in terms of who do you support, but who looks like a very likely candidate to break through the whole foggy.
Yes. When I saw the candidate, I only felt sorry for the NPP.
You felt sorry for them?
Yeah, I felt sorry for them.
Why?
Because this is a party that has for long been tagged as a party of elite, party of intellectuals, and they can mention names of individuals, prominent individuals. But if you look at some of the characters in this particular race, if we pick them one after the other, and begin to profile them, there are a lot to be worried about. There are a lot, and I've always mentioned that the presidency must come with a certain aura of respect. The personality, the individual who should be contesting for the office of the president must be a person who has certain basic characteristics.
They say they do have it.
No,
Bawumia says he has it.
They don't have it. They don't. For instance, Bawumia, this is a gentleman who promised heaven and earth. I am the economic guru. Vote for me. I will change the economy of this country. Unfortunately for us, the people who believed and gave them that particular power, the sort of humiliating defeat that the economy of this country suffered, I am not sure we've ever witnessed anything under the sun. It got to a time we had to run to our external creditors to go and beg them to forgive our debt, all because of deliberate, reckless spending, because of corruption, because of thievery. These are, and the evidence are quite obvious. The vice president who promised to manage the economy could not manage the economy to the extent that we were foolishly borrowing out there to a point that we were barred for a whole sovereign state to be barred from a sovereign commercial space. That is a huge indication that everybody should be worried about. We borrowed to a tune of IMF to a certain extent was warning us that our debt to our GDP was eclipsing 100% thereover. And that culminated into the kind of ratings that we had at the time. Moody's rated us junk, S&P junk, and then Fitch. They all rated us junk to a point that our credit score was so dirty that we could not even take it to Cote d'Ivoire or Togo to go and borrow. So the government had no other option than to resort to the domestic market and started mopping up the few cedis available. It's the reason why the domestic debt, this thing came in, because the government could not go out there to borrow. So then he has to rely on treasure bills, money that people have. He borrowed everything and he could not pay because there was no money. Because we were not having access to the external market. These are the economic realities. It got to a point in time, somebody sat at the Bank of Ghana and decided to turn the place into a printing press. Anytime he wakes up, he just go and stand before the machine and he was just printing money. By the time we realized he had printed over billions of Ghana cedis. That resulted in the sort of inflation that we saw, and that also led to the decline in the cedi. Because once there are excess cash in the system, the other cash.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying.
Yes,
these are facts.
Yes.
These are not. This is not your opinion. You're saying.
Yes,
these are facts on paper. After all of this, Bawumia says he is the right person to lead the party. And he has supported the party, believe it or not.
For support, that's understandable.
Some of the things you have said now, Kennedy has said that why is Bawumia still talking cha-cha-cha, but when he was in the economy, he failed Ghana. Kennedy has mentioned something, not in the same words, but to that effect.
I was suspecting the year 2016, economy was a year, and compensation I will call around to make economy was. The man said, when Mahama media no crazy in Mumbai and I can Japan or my NDC ammunition, NDC for Muntikuruma. When the man said, when your fundamentals are weak, your exchange rate will expose you. When you were saying that $1 was 4 cedis, and now NDC for 3 cedis, 80 pesos. And today, 11.5. the rate of depreciation. Opanyini, what are we going to say? And to me, the baby had no credit be any account. Now they were unfairly or a mate. He gave 170 questions to Vice President Emisata to answer. And then they also have Vice President or President Tedia Yentimi and Kanya Waka. Also, you have the inflation and the lock and key. Is that what is going on from 11% to 47%? Is it an insult or the truth? Because I'm telling you your own words that you use. I'm repeating it. And we have to be bold and speak the truth for the country, for the good of Ghana.
Yeah, yes.
So he thinks you'll be a proper candidate than Bawumia. Your views on Kennedy?
Yeah, I'll come to Kennedy. But let me finish on Bawumia. You see, in the case of Bawumia, it wasn't as if he hasn't gotten the opportunity before. He had a solid opportunity for 8 good years to turn things around. The major promise that he made had to do with the city. And that was the talking point. It got to a point, our city was the worst performing currency in the world, aside the Zambian kwacha. These are the reality. So the thing is that you're coming back as president. What at all are you presenting? And I've listened to him. He hasn't been able to provide.
He's going to he's coming with ideas.
My vision is to expand the Ghanaian economy through rich ideas.
Which ideas? Ideas you couldn't provide for 8 good years? This is a joke.
He was just a driver. No, he was a mate.
No.
I'm going with this argument. He was a mate. So he couldn't push his ideas because there was a driver in the seat.
That is a cheap political rhetorics just to buy convenience, and you understand some of these things because as a vice president,
it's a cheap political rhetoric just to buy what?
Convenience.
Convenience.
Yes. Because if you're vice president, you are not a CC or some sort of a pussy that people push you around. The power. Yes. You have the same thing. So and Akufo-Addo ceded the economic front to him. The gentleman to run away from the economic front, and he was talking IT. Digitalization when the economy was in a mess. So these are reality unless he comes up with something different. Kennedy Agyapong is another. You see, like I mentioned somewhere that if you don't know Kennedy and you just encounter him, you will be fascinated by his presentation. I'm a businessman, I have done this. But you see, Kennedy didn't help himself because he has destroyed himself in the past. So that makes him ineligible. And I mentioned somewhere, if Ghana were to be a serious country, that guy couldn't have gone through the so-called mail to be allowed or whatever you call it vetting. He should have failed at the vetting stage. Because this is a gentleman who has had verbally been involved in a lot of criminal activities in this country.
Verbally involved in criminal activities?
Explain that. In a lot of criminal activities. First of all, there is this audio circulating where he threatened to burn Mohammed's house and Ketia's house and Yamin and several other.
You see what is happening? Muhammad, try anybody listen. Reading to the West, we say Muhammad was the we say next time, who do you see? I have a lot of information. Muhammad.
You see, be office of the president, you must have a good temperament, a composure to be able to handle yourself under stressful situation. You must be emotionally intelligent and emotionally stable. This is a gentleman who goes to town and tells the NPP, hey, my secret may release it. If you go to the Jubilee House as president, there are state secrets only you must know. And these are things that will stay with you forever. You don't tell anybody. So this is a guy on a slightest provocation. He tells them, I'm going to reveal your secret. How many times hasn't he threatened the NPP that he was going to release their secret? So president will be releasing the state secret when you are on a least provocation. I think we need to get serious. Again, this is a gentleman who threatened to release a woman's naked pictures. How do you call it? A fierce Schwarzenegger. The following day, the naked pictures are all over on social media. Whether he did it or not, you said it. Again, when Anas issue came up, Anas and then this gentleman called the guy who died. What is the name?
Ahmed Swale.
He was the first person to put his image on TV and gave a certain message that when you see him in my premises, beat the hell out of him and come for money.
I said, no. Don't allow the guy to come to this premises again. When you see him here, beat him up because he's a bad boy. I said that. Yes, if he comes to my premises, anywhere my premises, beat him up. I'll be responsible for it.
Yes, the gentleman, his premises is in Medina. The gentleman was killed in Medina. So nobody is saying he killed the person, but one was him. And that is what I'm saying, involved in a lot of verbal criminal activity. This guy should be a subject of a criminal inquisition, so far as this whole issue is concerned. And there are several other cases that we can mention. The back and forth. These are issues of criminality, not just rhetoric. And there are public evidence out there. And I'm saying that the office of the president must come with a certain aura of decency. So you first look at yourself and say, am I fit for this? Because the Council of Elders at the vetting should have pointed all these things, because this is a political party that has lost power. People expect you to rebrand yourself and come with a certain semblance of hope.
He's saying that people are saying that he is the right person, not to lead the NPP, to lead Ghana. That's what he says. Ghana is looking or waiting for him.
I am pleading with you to vote for Kennedy Agyapong, because in the bus, truck from wherever you go, a market, Ghanaians are crying for Kennedy Agyapong to lead this country.
That's a response to that.
You are a Ghanaian, I'm a Ghanaian. I will be waiting for him. Even if the devil comes today, he will have people to support him, because that is how creation is. You understand? I think he has to do self-introspection, ask himself a lot of critical questions. So you see, very often when people follow you and they cheer you up, you become head-swollen and you think you are the new god in town. The reality is that I can understand him. You see, in recent time, the office of the presidency has been cheapened because of what we encountered in the last 8 years. So anybody at all with money can just say, because the motivation of all these guys has been money. He will tell you I have money. But who said money should be a prerequisite to be president? It is not. I cited an example. When Kwame Nkrumah was coming to Ghana, the gentleman came with his bag and his head. He didn't come with money. But people saw that this guy is rich in ideas. This guy is that. Even the people who invited him were jettisoned and they went for Kwame Nkrumah. He had opportunity. He did all these things. And for me, temperament is key. Kennedy Agyapong would have been a perfect person, because I like this military soldier kind of way. But you see, his temperament, emotional intelligence are on the low side. He is somebody who can easily be provoked. And the kind of...
You don't think he can work on that?
Oh, no.
I want to be president. I'm going to tone down my temperament. I'm going to turn don my emotions.
He can't say, Subaiti Sergeant saying, all that he's doing is just pretending. Just go and provoke him. You see things that he will say. He's just pretending. And when people are pretending, you could see that it's quite obvious. Then you go to Brian Agyapong. Brian Agyapong was directly involved in the Ayawaso West Wagon bloody clashes. There was a committee of inquiry that was set up to inquire into what actually happened. The committee recommended that this guy was involved and must be reprimanded. President Akufo-Addo decided to promote him to become an agric minister. So he got away with his involvement in those criminal engagement. As I speak to you, there is a gentleman who has become disabled because of that particular incident. An MP was slapped and nothing was done. This is the track record of this gentleman. And then suddenly, this hotel, this thing pop up.
Senate Hotel
pop up.
Yeah.
And he has gotten money. The new Bill Gates in town. He said, I am the one to buy Ghana, to buy you out of your trouble. There was a heated debate in this time by, how do you call it, workers union, organized by everybody, that you are part of cabinet, you are part of government. Common sense should be enough incentive to provoke you to know, say, come on, you are not a right person to go for this thing. But they were all over the place because I've gotten money. So I am saying that presidency has nothing to do with money. But unfortunately, there is this creeping culture of monetization in our politics where anybody at all gets money because the money.
Do you call it creeping culture,
yes.
or it's an established culture?
Yes,
it's not creepy anymore.
Because it's happening. It
Okay.
continue happening.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And we are not ready to do anything to stop it. Ghana is the only place millionaires just pop up and nobody knows where they got their cash from. You understand? I think that we need to clamp down on some of these things because if we are not fortunate, we may wake up one day and be having, you have to say, a criminal sitting at the Jubilee House playing president. If we are not careful, we continue to go on this particular line. I am seeking to protect the presidency for the sake of the next generation. I think we need to have somebody who is emotionally intelligent, somebody who is very smart, somebody who is very assertive, somebody who is not an unhinged person, erratic, unpredictable, emotionally unstable person. Any least provocation, then he's going way high.
Can I make that claim then?
I do him. I don't see anything presidential about him because
Why?
No. He was this thing. He was an education minister, one of the most sensitive areas. We were told that he owned a school in America, and that was one of the reasons why he was placed at the education sector. Ghana's education for the past 4 years, and it started with Napo under him. We know the story. We know the story to the extent that students had to go through years without even textbook. The challenges were quite obvious. With the implementation of this free SHS, which I've said everywhere that was one of the best things that happened to us as a country, but the implementation was very poor because it was rolled out as a political reparation package. I promise that I'll give you free SHS. I have come, whether the conditions are ripe or not, I'm giving it to you. You see, that then was in the constitution. Anybody at all could have given, but they were looking at the stakes, the economic situation.
Yeah.
But these people didn't consider any of these things. They just wrote it out without even engaging the stakeholders who have been at the education sector, who knew everything about it. They were jumped over, and then the policy was implemented. The challenges are quite over. So I do think, even in terms of, he's not somebody who is scared to be president. He's not. For me, NPP has a lot of intellectuals, a lot of people who could have made this thing easy. For instance, you're asking yourself, why are they not interested in pursuing people like Alan to come back? Somebody like Adenimo, I don't know whether you've encountered him, a fine gentleman. He has all the characteristics that you can think of, and there are several other people. So it's not, let us not sit here and make some assertion that there is no qualified person in the NPP. No, there are people, prominent people, very intelligent, knowledgeable people who can do a better job. But those who are popping up, it's a reflection of the current state, the deplorable state the party is in. Because these are individuals, without even going to the presidential race, you do a public profile. You see, you find out that these are despicable individuals with very dirty track record.
Yeah, hold it right. What about Engineer Kwame Agyapong? He's a young, dynamic, youthful.
Yes.
What's your take on?
I think in the early, I was rooting for him, but he has proven to be very inconsistent. Because politics, I think you must be very consistent.
What is this inconsistency?
Because during their election, he was there bastardizing, saying a whole lot of things that people should not vote for Bawumia. That's fine. Immediately after the election, he comes back and when he lost, then he came back campaigning and said, this is the best person that Ghanaian. Fine, he did. Then after losing, he comes back to say, he's not good. Whom are you deceiving? Because I think principle.
So you say he has not been consistent?
No, he has not been consistent. He has not, because I think as a politician, you need to have a principle position. If it is A, it is A. If it is wrong, it is wrong. Conveniences must not determine how we express our opinion. We must be very consistent in our
principled
person, very well grounded. You understand? If you look at this man, Nyahota Makulu, he has always been very consistent. Yes, I understand the reason why they don't like him, but that is a fact. I've listened to one Kwadwo Mpianim. He has been very consistent, and these are forefathers. These are people who I would say brought the party to fall. Exactly, but they stick to their principles. It's just, you don't change as the tide weighs on. You understand? You stick to your grounds. So for me, I think the NPP will do themselves a lot of good if they're able to woo some of these individuals. But because we have monetized the space, these individuals don't have the money. Like at the anymore, I don't know whether you've read his letter.
I know, or he's been my guest before.
Good.
You know, I've talked to everybody.
He's not contesting because the amount of money they are charging them isn't the 1,500,000 that is being thrown around. It is 4.6 million Ghana cedis
that you have to pay.
That you have to pay to be president. So you must be a drug dealer, a criminal, to be able to bring this particular money.
What about people like Kennedy who've worked very, very hard, they say, and they have saved enough money, they go all the way back on hard work and sweat?
Kennedy has money. Your friends say, Brian Agyapong has money. But ask yourself, how many people can dole out such money? I'm not sure that the presidential slot should be transactionary. It should rather, what should motivate people to come is the ideas and the vision that you have. Because I am saying if you do that, you are going to open door to criminals, drug barons and other people to come up and take over your party, because what you're interested in is money. And I am cautioning the NDC to also look out for some of these things, because if you open up and you do some of these things, if you are not fortunate, people with money will come and take over the party. And when people with money comes and take over the party, you know the SSs that come with it. If you are not fortunate and the person is a criminal, then you might throw the state into a different state. So I think there is something wrong with the MPP in terms of reorganization. And it's the reason all these things are coming up. Because they were not supposed to do this presidential election before the party election. Because you see, in organization, you do a bottom-up approach. You iron out the differences.
What's the logic for doing a top-up?
Obviously, underneath is a mischief, because
I mean top down. Not top up.
The top up, you know, is a mischievous kind of agenda just to ensure that they want Bawumia to be elected. Because the current executive, we all saw them in the previous election, they were all out there campaigning massively for Bawumia, so they don't want them to change. That might tilt to another person's favor. So why don't we do the top up so that the current crop of party leadership who campaign for Bawumia will still be eligible to go do the campaign for him after electing him? If they exit, then we have our Flagbearer. That is the other side of it. That is the
why is it that I haven't heard any complaints like from any of the presidential candidates saying this is not fair and we disagree? They all seem to have calmly accepted it. So
I think initially Kennedy complained, but this is a decision coming from Party Council of Elders. You can't stand against them, you understand, because you are just an individual. The Council of Elders have sat down, they went to their Congress and they agreed that this is the line. But you see, I think that they should try as much as they can to make common sense a friend of the NPP, because that will be enough incentive to provoke you to know that this particular approach is suicidal. Because with this current election, because you've not amended the cracks, look at the kind of rhetoric going on. I listened to somebody who said the wife of Bawumia is a Fulani, and if they vote for him and something happens, she will run away. We live in a civilized democratic country where some of these rhetorics should never be entertained. Tribalism, those kind of tribal politics. The person is a Fulani, and so what? Is he not a human being? And she was Fulani when she was the second vice lady. You didn't have a problem with it, but she cannot be your flag bearer. You see, this intemperate language and those kind of coming up tells you the state the party is in. And I was looking forward. I was thinking that the leadership would do something.
Why is the party in that state? It's because there's no strong leadership dictating the direction and flow of things, or why? Because for me, I always say that in many of my shows, some of the people of God accepted to me was because I made certain statements that this is not the MPP that we know.
No.
How come we flip? How come the thing is flipped?
Yes.
So that now those who are loud are the empty barrels.
Yes. And I think Kufuor expressed his dissatisfaction about the current state the party is in, and this man Kwame Pianim did the same thing. They are all worried about the suicidal state the party finds itself in, because it's like common sense is no longer a friend. And I wonder the Council of Elders what actually goes into their head when it comes to making some of these critical decisions. Because you see, what the NPP is lacking at the moment is leadership in terms of the party. The general secretary, the party chairman, these are not individuals with any clout to influence anything. And if you listen to some of their youth organizers, sometimes these are people who have come to understand politics as something being violent. You need to be very aggressive. Yeah. You need to insult. You need to show that aggression, that physical display of bravado to be seen as doing something. But politics is a game of intellect. You need to sell an idea, convince somebody, and that is all that politics is about. So the party lacks leadership. I am not sure the general secretary, they even respect him. And if you look at some of the things going on, they've been issuing statement upon statement upon statement, and nobody is listening. And again, the current leadership has proven to be biased. So nobody will also take you serious. Because when they were filing their nomination, Kyei Agyapong complained that when he filed, the party official page was not used to stream his. But when they got to Bawumia's turn, they used the official party account to do the streaming. These things are because common sense will tell you that you are party executive. This is a party channel. You don't use it for some of these things. If you are using it, you use it for all of them. So if you can conveniently sit there comfortable as a leader of a party and you do some of these things, you want Kennedy to respect you or you want another person to respect you. So they have sold their respect. They don't have it. And we find ourselves in a political space. If you don't command that aura of respect, you can't move anything. You can't do anything. You must first earn it. But respect is a currency we earn. We don't buy. You understand? You live to earn it. So the NPP, I don't know what has become of this particular party. I want the NPP to do well as a political party because we need a decent, credible, robust opposition party to give the NDC a tough time as an opposition party, providing alternative and other stuff to shape discourse in order to have a very stable democracy. But if the opposition degenerates into a sort of some kind of I don't know the right word to use to describe them, very unreliable, very erratic, unpredictable, unhinged, and some of the things that they do are so, sometimes you begin to wonder, then it should give you a cause to worry. So I think the NPP will do themselves a lot of good if they become amenable to reason, wisdom, and common sense. That will help their cause.
On that note, we have to wrap up Unfiltered and say a big thank you to my son here, Ivan. And let me say this very, very quickly. And Ivan, your quick response to that before. Okay. I think, fortunately or unfortunately, the trajectory that the current NPP is on, within this foreseeable future, I'm sure there are going to be splinter groups coming up who will say that we are representing the true values of the NPP. I have that feeling. I don't know where it's from, but I think this current crop is making room or encouraging the emergence of splinter groups. Your final say on that, then we have to wrap up.
Yes, because the NPP has taken a sharp detour from their core principles. The so-called values principle that we saw growing up. You don't find any of them. Sometimes you look at some of the characters leading the party in terms of leadership and you feel like, wow. Sometimes you listen to some of them on radio, the argument, the poverty of intellect, the aggression, the insult, that kind of physical bravado people want to display in order to be seen as being a man. These politics belongs to the 12th century. In the past, people didn't have reason to follow a political party. It was just emotional, tribal affiliation, ethnocentric supremacy, that kind of familiar.
But that era is gone.
That era is gone. Yeah. Young people are becoming increasingly enlightened. They want reason. But this is the time the NPP is running away from reasoning. And they are doing things. So if Kyei is not taking, like you rightly mentioned, after this primaries, if Kyei is not taking, the splinter group will be emerging. Because this election is not going to be free and fair. The whole idea is to impose Bawumia. Kennedy and his team will fight it. And if Kyei is not taken, it's going to be bloody. Just mark it somewhere. It's going to be bloody. So it means that the leadership behind, are they seeing these things? You and I, we are not political scientists, but we see the fine lines that the NPP is heading towards doom. But they don't see it. After losing power, they don't even feel like they've lost power. Look at the Electoral. Look at the disposition of those in parliament, this belligerent, arrogant posturing. You saw the vetting committee. You saw what actually happened there. The posture has been very aggressive. But I'm saying that politics has nothing to do with aggression this time going. It's about selling fine brain, intelligence, ideas, just to war other people.
Yeah.
You listen and say, oh, wow, this is what I want to buy.
It's a new era.
Yes, it's a new era.
It's not a battle of
no,
bronze, it's brains.
Yeah. But
it's not the, what do you say, something bravado?
Fasika bravado.
Fasika bravado. I'm writing it down in my dictionary. When you hear me saying that on my show, say, I was I'm a host, true. Fasika bravado.
Yes.
And on Fasika bravado, as the host of this show, let's
as a size,
you know, and always great to have Ivan in the house. One day soon he'll be back so that we can do some amazing discussion on many interesting issues. Until then, keep it unfiltered. Stay on the wall. We'll see you again.